All right, so I was recording some footage for something, and I was thinking about this when I was watching some videos earlier this week. How about we just do a little hop around on Crash Bandicoot? So we'll call this a Crash lesson in Crash Bandicoot. We'll start with Crash Bandicoot 2. Maybe we'll do some Crash Team Racing. We'll even hop over to the Game Boy Advance games. Let's see, but let's just hop in. Let's do Crash Bandicoot 2. I haven't played this on my Odin. In fact, I haven't played really any Crash on my Odin. So this should be interesting. But let's just hop in. Why not? Alright, let's do it. I mean, Crash Bandicoot for the PlayStation, and I guess this is really dating me, but Crash Bandicoot for the PlayStation was essentially the counter to Mario, the counter to Sonic. In the mid '90s, Sonic and Sega, Mario and Nintendo, and then you had Crash with PlayStation. PlayStation did not really hustle to protect this IP though, and to keep it going throughout the years. I would have expected in 2024 that there would be a Crash Team Racing, a modern version, and unfortunately, Crash shooting, Crash racing, Crash flying. They could have done everything with that, but they really didn't. I think PlayStation was always more about the third party games rather than developing an IP that they would hold. And, Nintendo is the opposite. Nintendo absolutely loves its own stuff and it's their identity. Sega was sort of in between. And maybe that's part of what hurt them in the long run. But, in terms of their console exclusives. But, for now, it looks like Crash really was it was a '90s to early 2000s counter, but then it never really stood on its own later in the later years, and they certainly didn't expand it the way Nintendo was expanded, which again, depending on your preference, some people would say good, some people would say, oh, yeah, I wish that they had done more. But anyway, let's see. Yeah, like I said, I haven't played this in about probably 20 years, so I don't even know. I don't even know what I should do. Let's just start with the woods or whatever. Why not? I played Crash. I had the first Crash Bandicoot on my PlayStation 1. I think I might have played this before, but I honestly don't remember it. So this should be interesting. And here we go. Wow. This kind of takes me back, man, jumping around with these things. I mean, what was... Oh, I should have... Actually, I'm already forgetting some of this stuff. What was cool about Crash, as I try to remember some of the controls here, was this viewpoint, getting away... this was, pretty cool to come from behind of the character, whereas, over the years, you kind of got used to always playing doing the side scrolling thing. Oops. All right. Ooh. Oh, wow. You can see I play this a lot. Are they gonna let me go back in or no? Yep. And I died the same way. Third time's a charm. Alright, let's see if I can embarrass myself one more time here. And yes. All right. Why not? I just sometimes I wonder if the joystick, if I'm just better with the D-pad on this thing. I don't know. Ugh. So I'm just hopping too many times. It's cool. Anyway, yeah, it was cool to have this like scrolling from behind thing, or like I don't know, front scrolling. It was cool when this first came out because it just gave a different Oh, I should have known better. Not with the spikes. It gave you that different perspective than what you got from like those from the traditional side-scrolling Mario games, and then obviously like with the Nintendo 64, it got like you had Mario 3D and everything, so then that changed. That changed everything, but this was pretty cool for its time. Um, Again, this is the second iteration, but the first one, I mean, was really cool to see that come out. All right. So yeah, you gotta collect these apples. Like Sonic likes its rings. Crash likes his apples. So, or peaches, whatever the hell these things are. They look like apples to me. Ooh. Oh no. All right. So, like I said, this is gonna be like a little bit quicker. So you gotta like take these things out and then wait for the thing you could use to springboard. There we go. Again in the pit. Jump in the mosh pit and love someone. Ball with the ball. Alright, here we go. So let's see here. Let's pause. And with the magic of the Odin 2, we quickly warp over into Crash Team Racing. So again, this was back when they really treated this IP like it mattered. Okay, you have Mario Kart. Let's do Crash Team Racing. And Crash Team Racing holds up over the test of time. It's fun. It's as fun now as it was back then. It's just obviously Mario is a bigger IP. People know Mario. They're tied to it. But this was still pretty cool. So let's see. We got adventure, time trial, arcade, versus mode, battle mode, high score. Let's see. I don't remember. I obviously I know. I think was arcade like. Yeah, you could do single races or the cup. What is the adventure one? I don't think I remember adventure. I'll just hop into it and see. I played more Crash Team Racing on the Game Boy Advance than I think I ever did on the PlayStation. Let's just go with Crash. Alright. Let's see what this adventure has to do with anything.
miniature arena. You can travel around this area and practice your driving skills. The dots and stars on the map represent warp pads, which lead to races. When they flash, it signifies.
This is kind of cool. Looks like we're fresh. Alright, here we go. Well, let me put this on the big screen. Sorry, everybody. Yeah, I really don't remember this. Doing a good job getting those boxes, right? Oh, I like how you can look from behind. That's cool. Change the view. Oh, wonderful. Right off the road. I will say I don't love how circle is the button to execute the, whatever you pick up, because it's like a little off to the side. But, you know. Oh man. Crash Course and Crash Bandicoot right now. Figured this might be fun. We're just gonna gotta go through a few of these. And obviously, if you guys want, put in the comments. I can do an in-depth video or long play on any one of these. So you tell me what makes the most sense. If you want me to go back and do Crash on Game Boy Advance or here on the PlayStation 1 or whatever, I could definitely do that. Obviously, oh man, finished third. Great. So the maps are cool. I think, the gameplay is fun. It's obviously, you're going to recognize it. It is a lot like Mario Kart. So as you guys know, Crash Bandicoot ended up coming over to Nintendo via the Game Boy Advance. So let's hop into it. Crash Nitro Kart. So this one I played a little bit more of than I think than even Crash Team Racing. Why? I don't know. Let's just do a single race. I don't know which one I just did. This might be the same map, right? I don't know. Hold on. You can see, obviously, the big difference is the graphics. When you're playing on, your PlayStation versus playing on your Game Boy Advance. And I am playing through my Odin, but I have it hooked up to the TV. I'm sure some of you have, are playing on these kind of devices as well. Game Boy Advance, like any of these other systems, the graphics don't. Wow, this is just terrible race on me. The graphics don't bother me when I'm playing it. Obviously, when you go from your PlayStation back to this, or if you go from a modern system, but graphics, like I've always said, like graphics can only do so much. I mean, they're just, you know, they're just like the icing on the cake. It's gameplay that's everything. if you're enjoying the mechanics of a game, it really doesn't matter what the graphics are. And notice the L button is your action button in this game, with regard to shooting things and whatever. So it's a little bit more natural than like having to go from X to circle. So just something to like keep in mind when you're playing, like the difference in the game. But yeah, this game, I mean, I would almost argue this game feels a little bit better than a PlayStation Crash. Now it could be just because I've played this a little bit more, but I do think it has like the controls. The kart is a little bit more grounded, and some of that could be I'm playing on my Odin, not on my Game Boy Advance. Oops. If I was playing on my Game Boy Advance, maybe it would feel differently. So maybe it's the joystick on the Odin itself that I'm really liking the way it feels. But for the most part, I feel like I have played this a little bit more, and I do like the way it moves. But again, like graphics are fine. They're not gonna match what you have in your PlayStation, but the gameplay is fun. And just imagine, like, if you were playing this exclusively on your Game Boy Advance, having this kind of game like mobile, like whether you're sitting in the back of the car or you're waiting for class or something, like whatever you're doing in your life, this is pretty cool. So I'm having a horrific race. But anyway, yeah, that's Nitro Kart. So pretty cool. We're kind of running through here. Let's see what else we got. All right, so here we go. Crash Bandicoot on the Game Boy Advance. So we're really making the ringer now, huh? So let's see. Blah blah blah, storyline, blah blah blah, yakety yak. I just want to hop in. I just want you guys to see what it looks like. And again, if you want to go in depth, if you have any requests for any game, there's a good chance I have the game, especially between my physical systems and my Odin. So again, I have an Xbox 360, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, which I don't really use much, Xbox Series X, Nintendo 64. Now with my Odin, I have access to all those things and more. So any game, any genre, I probably have. I'm more of a wrestling, shooting, racing, sports game kind of guy. Not huge with RPGs, so you know, think about that. But I'll take requests. And again, if you want to see something like if you wanted to see Crash, like me trying to play through more of just Crash on any of these systems, I'm more than happy to do that. I think graphically, Crash Bandicoot on the Game Boy Advance, like this game specifically, I think this looks amazing. I mean, this looks to me as good as the PlayStation. It's just side scrolling instead of front scrolling. If you remember the mission, the bonus thing I was failing at, this basically looks just like it. So I don't know. I think this was really well done, and you gotta think about it at the time. This is like 2002, 2003, and you're playing you're playing a AAA game, mobile. That's pretty awesome. Now we kind of take advantage because I take for granted some of the technology, but this was really cool at the time, and it still is, and it holds up. And frankly, the ability to make high fun factor games, if it was so easy, it would be done. It's nowadays you're getting a lot of emphasis on the graphics and power and whatnot, but mobile fun factor games to me, like, they never die. And I messed up. I should have hopped on that box. But I mean, this is really solid. Whoops. That was like slow motion there. There we go. Pretty cool. So this is Crash on your Game Boy Advance. So just for time's sake, there's Crash Bandicoot 2, Crash Bandicoot Fusion, Crash of the Titans on your Game Boy Advance. So because I'm a little low on time, I'm going to cut this video short. I'm going to cut it off. But if you have any interest in seeing these games, feel free to reach out to me. And I'd be more than happy to hop in and do a recording of them. But, there were several Crash Bandicoot games that came out on your Game Boy Advance. These are all the Crash games that I have between the PlayStation 1 and the GBA. So, if you have requests, let me know. But otherwise, this was just a quick run-through of some Crash Bandicoot gameplay. And, like I said, I think Crash was a fun IP. Sony, didn't really do a lot to hold it down. You never saw Mario come to the Sony PlayStation, but you watched Crash Bandicoot, which, I understand, Sony is focused on being an overall third-party, easy-to-make games for system at the time, but they didn't really protect that IP at all, and they could have had it be their Mario in the long run, and they didn't. And now you see it come over to the Nintendo, and nowadays it's remembered as just another fun time capsule item from a time when there was just such a great variety of games and depth of games. And it's just a fun series. So I recommend hopping in and playing any of these. I'll continue to play them, and take any requests that you want. And it's all about having fun, and that's what we like to do. We like to have fun here in the Corner Arcade. All right, thanks everybody. Appreciate it.